you're trying to get this feeling right now, right? You're trying to feel really good right now, look cool right now at the expense of your future, for example. That's what I would describe young, dumb, and broke, right? Doing something right now that feels good, look good, maybe as a status, it's an appearance, it's a facade is what I'd call that. And it's giving up your future. You're spending your future on right now. So that's what it means to be young, dumb, and broke.
I feel like, if we're going to talk about how not to be young, dumb, and broke, we first need to clarify what we mean by being young, dumb, and broke. So, Joe, if you could just go ahead and tell people what are the characteristics of, a young, dumb, and broke mindset and things that those type of people do and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. There's probably a lot of ways to describe this, and this is not a catch-all sort of, description of this type of person, but it's just maybe some of the similar habits that people have when you're young, dumb, and broke. I remember a student friend of mine in college when I was like a sophomore, and he was basically trying to look cool. And I remember he bought a really cool Camaro for like $60,000 on a loan when he was in college, going to school on a scholarship. And the stress and having to work 3 jobs, for example, to try to pay that off, it screwed up some classes for him and things like that. So that would be, for example, a type of person where you're trying to get this feeling right now, right? You're trying to feel really good right now, look cool right now at the expense of your future, for example. That's what I would describe young, dumb, and broke, right? Doing something right now that feels good, look good, maybe as a status, it's an appearance, it's a facade is what I'd call that. And it's giving up your future. You're spending your future on right now. So that's what it means to be young, dumb, and broke.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that answer, man. I love that answer. I mean, from what I gather, at least when I'm understanding it seems like it's more of a mindset thing. It's the way you think and the way you try to fit into society, fit into people who may not even care about you at the end of the day. So it's like, it's this weird obsession with people being like, I need to be around these people. I need to fit in. I need to make sure I look cool. I need those style points. So let me put myself in more and more bad situations and just hope something better happens eventually. And it's like, oh my goodness, you're young, dumb, and broke. Like, why?
Yeah.
That's the way I've been able to understand it. Coop, you got anything new to add?
Honestly, bro, I feel like it's nothing wrong with starting off life being young, dumb, and broke. But, it's nothing wrong with like working towards something and being young, dumb, and broke. Well, the dumb part, yeah, but broke is nothing wrong with that. So I feel like what classifies you as young, dumb, and broke is what you want out of life and what you're working towards, right? So if you just want, like Joe was saying, want the fancy cars and materialistic things, you're young, dumb, and broke. Your mindset is wrong. So I feel like it's kind of what you're working towards and your goals. And if they don't align with, a wealthy mindset and a wealthy purpose that's going to lead you and your family to a better, more comfortable life, I feel like it's young, dumb, and broke.
What do you think is keeping people broke in 2022? I mean, there's money coming out the air. You can do an online business. There's 50, 40,000 different versions of online. What is keeping people broke in today's society? What do you think, man?
So I was actually looking up the statistics on this. Yeah, we are about to hit a recession. I mean, if you look at like the housing market, for example, if you're in real estate, I mean, prices are dropping like crazy, and inflation's insane. So the reason people are struggling is because of inflation. I mean, that's a lot of it does have to do with inflation. Things are more expensive. Your wages aren't that much more, for example. If you're a young person, I mean, that's just part of life, right? You start out broke. I mean, that is just part of it. And you take some time to build enough credibility to make money in it, and you have to go do some really hard things. And I think the biggest reason, again, it comes down to a mindset of whether or not you're financially well off or set, as you could say. Because again, if you're 19 and just don't have debt, that's probably pretty good right now, right? In a lot of ways. But I think the biggest thing is just focusing on doing things that are hard. For example, like I worked for this company where we go door to door and sell stuff, right? And the average student is supposedly supposed to go do that, right? And the average student makes like 11 grand or something, right, in a summer. And maybe that's not a ton. Maybe it's a little bit. Maybe it's more. It was more than I was making growing up in the summer, for example. And so I went and did that, and it was one of the most difficult things you could do, but it worked. I made 11 grand my first summer, and I did even better after that. And so I think the biggest thing, if you're like struggling, is you're not willing to. A lot of times, a lot of people aren't willing to put in the effort or try something new that seems out of the box, even if it's proven. Like the company that I went with was 168 years old, for example, right? And so they'd had like 300,000 people or something do the program before, and it was very systematized, right? If you follow the system, you'll make money, right? And it's funny how people there's systems you can go make money, and then it seems like a willpower thing, right? It's all in your head. There'd be so many people who could do great at it. You had the pedigree, and they would psych themselves out. They would overthink. They would do this thing called paralysis by analysis, right? They would come up with a million ways, to fail, right? They would just think, and then they would never do anything. And the summer would hit, for example, and then they would just go do the same thing they've always done. I call that a small town mindset, even if you're from a big city. A small town mindset's where you always just go do the same thing you always done. You always get the same thing you always got, right? If you do the same thing you always done, you'll never change, right? So I think that mindset, is going to be really, really hurtful in a long-term perspective. I think we'll get into that later, but that's called a fixed mindset.
Have you ever felt like at a point in life you were once young, dumb, and broke? And if so, how did you, transfer? Or if not, how were you never like that? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's weird, man, because I've been one of each, and even in certain periods, I'm just one at one time. So I mean, I've been all of them at once, and I've been one sometimes, right? So I mean, with the young and dumb portion, I mean, it's easy to be dumb. Of course, we're all for the most part young, but I think that's more of a mentality thing, right? Is you have a young mentality? Do you think like young people think, right? One of our questions here we didn't ask yet was, right, how to get out of that high school mindset, right? How to get out of that. Oh, I'm just doing things because I'm being told to do things. So, okay, cool, right? Like, how do you actually go from, okay, I'm doing things because this is what I was told to do, to I'm doing things for this reason, for this purpose, because this is my end goal in life, right? And to go from, such a base level of just being told what to do to telling yourself this is what I have to do because I am a grown man who has priorities, who has goals, and who has the mission and drive, right? And so that's one of the young portions. So in order to get out of that, I just realized, well, the people who were in that mindset, did I admire these people? Did I want to be like these people? Did I say, oh, this is super cool, I want to stay like this? No, I was like, I grow out of it. And so I in the back of my mind, even I was really hoping that at some point I was going to stop doing it. So I just said, okay, well, I already think it, so why not just do it now? Why not actually just get out of it, right? Because the other people around me aren't, so why would I waste my time with them when they're purposely staying behind because they hope somebody else is going to pick them up, right? And then the dumb portion, read. Like you said, read books, get mentors. When you don't know, somebody does. So find out who knows it and get to know them, okay? Because the least you can do, if you don't know yourself, you can find who knows it and they can know it for you, right? So know people, talk to people, network. If you're still in school, ask your teachers or ask your professors, right? Network, talk to people, ask them, hey, can I get 15 minutes of your time? If can we go out on coffee? I'll pay for the coffee. Get to know these people because they have knowledge and they are willing to give it to you if you just sit there and say please, right? With a smile. So get the knowledge from these other people, okay? And then that's how you get out of the dumb portion, right? And then the broke portion, that comes with time, that comes with effort, that comes with the smart work over time, right? So when it comes to the broke portion, you're going to be broke because especially if you're in college, you're probably going to be some format of broke, right? So plan out your life in steps. Plan out your life to where at least you can be debt free. That's the minimum goal. Be debt free, okay? At least we're at least going to go for debt free where we're not losing money, right? We're not negative in our income, okay? So the main ways to do that is spend less than you make. So you want to make more than you spend, okay? So and it's something just very simple, right? Write down, like this same thing with social media. Write down every single penny you spend because that'll make you sit there and look like, man, I'm spending way too much money. So every time you pay for anything, every time you swipe your card, every time you put your credit card in somewhere, anytime you spend $1, write it down in a book and then look at that book at the end of the week and say, gosh, dang, okay, I might need to stop. Right? Yeah. That's one of the easy ways because it's a brain trick. That's the reason credit cards get off on people like that. It's because it's a brain trick where they don't realize I don't have this money, right? Because in their mind, well, the limit says 2,000, so I have to. No, you don't. You don't have 2,000. They have 2,000, and you have to pay them back. So you better not keep swiping their card. So this is the portion where you have to realize spend less than I'm making because I need to be smarter with the money I'm using. And then after you do that, and not in negative, right? You're at least, let's say you're at zero, right? But you're not negative. You're not making money either. You're just at zero, okay? When you do begin work a job, when you do begin making money now, because you should be able to come some form of profit at this point because you're not negative. Only buy assets. Only buy things that make you more money. The way you can identify these things is when you pay for the thing. Say, how much money can this thing generate me? Or how many skills or how much knowledge can this thing generate? So whether this be a mentorship, whether this be, right, a course, whether this be, an actual asset where it's like a watch or some of that sort, right? Say, how much will this thing actually make me in the long run? What is this thing worth? And does it increase in value or does it decrease in value over time? Yeah. Right? And do I apply my money to this thing? If it decreases in value, don't apply your money to it. If it increases in value, apply your money to it. So I would tell people get knowledge first because knowledge is something that you can always use and it always can grow because it always builds upon itself. So I would say that over just buying, a stock or anything of that sort originally. I would say by knowledge and by courses and by this type of things because those things actually can build upon themselves off the jump. So that's the ways I would tell people to apply the money to get out of the broke portion. But that's just the way I think at least. So you got some game though?
I would say honestly it's analyzing yourself. Because, you know what I'm saying, you really don't know where to start if you don't think you already started and you don't think life is just going to give you what you want. So number one, you got to analyze and be real with yourself. Look in the mirror and put your life on a time frame. like a line graph from 0 to 100. Look at where you at, look at where you've been, look at where you want to go, and look at the actions you do daily to see if it's pushing you closer to 0 or closer to 100. So once you understand if you're heading the right way or the wrong way, then you can start adding more of those things and taking away some things that are pulling you back the wrong way. And that's when we talk about, credit score and things like that. It's also about like learning and teaching yourself some things. And it's kind of, today's society make it really hard to not be dumb. Because literally you can learn everything in such a quick span. So it's kind of like I'm always done because I can always be learning things, right? So hold on, I'm going to add Joe back right now. He's ready. Yeah, so for me, I feel like it's always just about being honest with yourself and seeing if you're going to be where you're going to be at based on what you're doing. Because some people are like, yeah, if I just keep drinking, keep partying, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be nice. I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to analyze my budget. Like people don't want to, take accountability. And that's the number one is accountability. And that's really what's going to push you to the next level is when you hold yourself to a level of standards that no one else is going to hold you to. Unless, you're married or anything like that. So that's my 2 cents. Just be honest with yourself.